Hello, friends and neighbors. It's Candace-Marie Mitcham here, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Silverhawk Realty, East Idaho, and you are joining me for the Lending Lounge. Today we have Mike.Morrison from Movement Mortgage, and we're going to talk about a hot topic, albeit it will be nonpartisan. We're going to talk about the election and how that affects real estate. Stay tuned. Mike.Morrison, thank you so much for gifting us some of your time today. Welcome back.
Yeah, great to be back. It's been too long.
It's been too long. Now, we have had a major event. We have had an election, and
Yes.
there's a lot of chitter chatter about how that may or may not affect housing. So, coming from a lender perspective, let's jump in. Give us your thoughts.
Yeah, so I think the first thing that the election does is, regardless of which side you wanted to win and what the outcome was, I think it gives people now a sense of certainty, at least about what the next 4 years will bring, right? Leading
Yeah,
into the election, you don't know who's going to win. You don't know what the outcome of that's going to be and what policies and things are going to be. So whether you like the choice or not, that part's irrelevant. At least now we know what we've got in store for us for the next 4 years. So that's an important
exactly.
point. And I think, if you're a home seller out there, I think this is a good thing because I think a lot of buyers now are going to be more open to buying, right? That uncertainty has been removed. And so could be a great time in the next few months, next year or two to take advantage of what I believe is pent up demand from people that were waiting
Right.
to see the outcome.
Right.
So
And people really have. I mean, that's just the what I like to call the reptilian part of the brain, right? It's anytime there's uncertainty, there's risk, is what happens. And the reality is people have to move for various different reasons, right? But I do agree with you. We're going into the winter season, which here in Southeast Idaho, because remember that real estate is hyper local,
yeah,
we get snow, and you tend to not see as many houses on the market during that time. But the benefit that people don't think about is as a seller, you're competing with less homes during that time.
absolutely.
So when you match that up with exactly what you just shared about that, people have been waiting and waiting and they're ready to go. This is a fantastic time for home sellers to really just put that house on the market and let's get things moving and get you into a place that's a better fit for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the other topic that comes to mind is, people want to know, okay, well, what's real estate going to do? Right now we
Mhm.
know it's a Republican administration, right? That's been settled. So what does that mean? The thing is that real estate is an asset that's really independent of the government and the party in power.
Yeah.
We can look at the stats. It's all very black and white out there, right? We can look at what homes have done appreciation all across the
Right.
country. Republican, Democrat, it has not mattered for really going back to World War II. Real
Right.
estate performs well under both administrations, both parties, right? So we would expect the same thing here now. Right. So I think the expectation is for modest appreciation over
Mhm.
the next 4 years, right? That means a 4 or 5, 6% appreciation. And as you mentioned, though, it always hyper local,
Right.
right? So one area might see 1 or 2% appreciation, one area might see 10, but on
Right.
average, I think the country's expecting a 4 to 5% appreciation. And
Yeah.
and and another thing that I've seen recently, this is going back again to World War II when housing's been a little easier to track from a value standpoint. It's important to remember, I think a lot of potential home buyers or home sellers have the recession of 2008 in their minds. Like, okay,
Right.
that was a crash, home values went down, that could happen again. The
Yeah.
reality is that was a very, very unusual set of circumstances. And then
Right.
if you go back to 1942, that's 82 years, 82 years. Real estate nationally has only gone down 6 times in 82 years.
Hmm.
Five of those were all lumped together in the recession in around 2008.
Right.
So the reality is that real estate just doesn't go down, right? It might stay stagnant for a little while, but the expectation for it to go down, it's just not, it shouldn't be expected, basically.
Right. Well, and here in Idaho too, we have definitely normalized from 18, 24 months ago. So we're at that normalized level, right? And to your point, people go, yeah, I'm waiting for that crash. It's not happening. We're here.
Not,
This is where we're at, right? And we are just going to do that steady climb back up again.
yeah.
And also, with Idaho, and if I can find the chart, I'll put it up here. But I believe we are the number one or number two state with the highest anticipated job growth
I saw
coming
that.
up for the next year because we're flush with cash and we're beautiful here. So please move, call me. Um,
Yeah.
but
For
we
our
are
local
sitting in a good
market,
position here.
yeah, for our local market, I mean, we were probably the hottest market in the country
Yeah.
for probably 7, 8 years, right? From probably 2014,
And
13.
And for our viewers' sake, you're over on the west side of Idaho, so you're over in the
Yeah.
Boise metro area.
Yeah. But our state as a whole, I mean, it was an attractive area. A lot of people were moving
Yeah.
here for probably almost a 10-year period. I mean,
Yeah.
right after the recession, all the way through the end of COVID, right? We were just a hotbed of people moving here. People wanted to come here for various reasons. And it felt like that went away for a few years, right? We kind of cooled off a bit. We certainly didn't have an exodus of people, but we really cooled down as far as what was happening here for a few years. I feel like I've seen a lot of things like you just mentioned and a lot of stats that show that we're kind of back becoming a like hot area again. So keep that in mind. If you're a buyer, you want to be ahead of that curve, right? If you're a buyer,
get in early. Yeah.
And if you're a seller, great time to take advantage of people that might be coming here from elsewhere, you know, for different reasons. So that's a good thing.
Very true.
Yeah. And then the other topic, you know, that we hear a lot related to the government, to the election, to who's in power is rates, right?
Yes.
A lot of people, you know, are expecting or we're hoping for, you know, a certain outcome of the election, and that means that rates will go down. And I want to reiterate for people, unfortunately, you know, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, the president and the government, they don't control rates as closely as people think. They don't have that power. Our government is set up in a certain way so that it's not a dictatorship, right? There is Congress, there's the judicial system, there's the electorate branch, right? So nobody can control that. The Federal Reserve is an independent entity, you know, and how they operate as well. They're not directly under the thumb of the president. They are set up very differently. And so people should just know that the rates, they could go up or down based on actually. What's been very interesting to me is post-election, there's actually been a lot of speculation that the rates will go up under Trump's administration, right? And that would be unexpected. Most people would have thought the opposite kind of heading into the election. So, you know, what people should know is they shouldn't try to time the interest rate market. Okay. The best way I can put it is if you decide to buy a home, let's say this winter, they find a great home in Idaho with you. If they buy a home right now and the rates go up from here, how is that homeowner going to feel at that point?
They're going to be glad they pulled the trigger.
Exactly. They're going to feel actually thrilled. Like, oh man, I got 6.75 and a year later the rates are 8. They're going to feel really, really happy. They made a smart decision. And then what's the opposite? If they buy a home with you this winter and the rates go down, that would be better. And what happens then with that homeowner is they just refinance.
We call Mike and we refi.
So if you're ready to buy a home, you're qualified and you can find a home that fits your needs, there really is no downside to the rate conversation.
Yeah, 100%.
Happy. If it goes down, you'll be even happier.
Right? Well, yeah. And the reality is, and look, I am not a financial analyst, right? And when it comes to loans, we talk to you. But all of the research that I have seen is 6-7% is actually a very healthy place for our economy to be. And look, we love a lower rate, right? But the 2s, the 3s, we're never going to see again in our lifetime. That was just a blip on the radar. It was an anomaly. It's not happening. If you got it, fantastic. Hold on to it. Keep that in your real estate portfolio as a rental and an investment. But look, you're going to be going up. You'll be lucky to see 4s, I think, at some point, or buy down to that point. You know, I bought mine down to a 5, which is great. But if I want to move again, I'm buying that thing down right now. And I just have to know that going into it, right? But 6-7% is healthy, and we want a healthy economy, right?
You nailed it. That 2 to 3%. Well, that was great. That made my life so easy for those.
Right. You're just hopping and popping.
Offering. Yeah. I mean, it's great for me to say your rate's 2.75, your rate's 3.25. I love that. But that was an unusual event that has occurred exactly one time in all of interest rate tracking in the United States. So we cannot expect that to occur again. I firmly believe, as you just stated, we will never see 2s and 3s again. If we do, it's for some very unfortunate reasons that we may not.
Want to be in.
I don't think there's a real good chance we'll see 4s even. Like that would be incredible to even just get to 4s. I think 5s, 6s, and 7s are where we will probably remain as an economy for quite a long time.
Yep, I agree with you. Well, Mike, I always have to say thank you. You're always bringing us great information and topics to just put out there for the general consumer group. So thank you so much for that. And for folks that are joining us for the very first time, obviously we're talking about Idaho, the beautiful state of Idaho, but please remind our viewers where you and team can assist if perhaps they don't live in Idaho or they're thinking about an investment property elsewhere.
Thank you. Yeah, so I am personally licensed in Idaho, Washington, Oregon, and California. And then my company, Movement Mortgage, is licensed everywhere in the country.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much. And we will see you next week.
Sounds great.